Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and we just hit 4,000 subscribers. It feels so amazing to say that we've actually hit this number, such a big number, at least I think it's a big number, in such a short amount of time. We literally hit 2,000 subscribers less than a year before we hit this number. So to say that we're already at 4,000 subscribers is just the best thing in the world. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do, all of your support. It really means so much to me. However, like I've said before, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I've decided to make this Q&A the last one that I do on this channel, at least for a little bit of time. I might bring them back at some point, I'm not exactly sure, but either way, I'm going to be trying to do some other kinds of interactive content to replace the Q&As. There is a video that I'm planning right now that falls in that category that will be coming out in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. But regardless, let's just get started. For 4,000 subscribers, for over 1.2 million video views, and for all the support that you guys have given me, here it is, the final Raptor Q&A. I hope you guys enjoy. Godzilla versus 69 million Doritos. Alright, let's think about this logically. Godzilla weighs in at around 90,000 tons, while 69 million Doritos only weighs in at around 180 tons. However, the most amount of fresh matter that a human being can consume at any given time is about 1.8 pounds or 0.0009 tons every minute. This means it would take the average person about 140 days to eat all of those Doritos. However, considering that Godzilla is over 1,000,000 times heavier than the average person, I have a feeling that he'd be able to do it in a much more reasonable amount of time. What do you think is going to be revealed for Season 9 of Death Battle after Saitama versus Popeye? Well, the teased combatants have already been revealed, so I can't really predict that, but if you want to know who I think they will be fighting, I think Scarlet Witch will fight Zatanna, I think Vegeta will fight Thor, I think Tetsuo will fight Magneto, I think Tanjiro will fight Jonathan Joestar, I think Boba Fett will fight Predator, and I think Jinx will fight Harley Quinn. However, I'm not as confident in those last two, and I could be wrong with any number of them. We'll just have to see. What do you want for Death Battle that is... I think the main fight that I want for Death Battle that isn't highly requested is Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon. However, I do know that there are some people that do still want that fight, so if you want a fight from me that basically no one is talking about, then I would say Dark Willow versus White Violin. It will never happen, but I would love to see it. What are some comic characters that you think should get on Death Battle, not just Marvel and DC? There are still a lot of Marvel and DC characters that I'd like to see on Death Battle, most particularly Ant-Man versus Atom and Apocalypse versus Black Adam are two of my most wanted Marvel versus DC fights right now. But in terms of other kinds of comic characters, I'd say any characters from Hellboy, Invincible, The Umbrella Academy, even like more of The Boys, those kinds of characters. I think those kinds of comic characters have a lot of potential, so I'd like to see them. What is your least wanted Death Battle? I think if I had to pick one right now, it would be Nightcrawler versus number 5. I know I literally just said that I would like to see Umbrella Academy characters on Death Battle, and both number 5 and Nightcrawler are two of my favorite characters right now, and I've talked about this before, I just really don't think it works as a death battle. The main reasons being that they don't really have that many similarities when you really dig deep into it, and Nightcrawler just doesn't really work on death battle ever since becoming immortal. So I have other videos talking about this if you want to go check those out. I have one video talking about my least wanted death battles of all time, and that one is in it. But yeah, that's basically it. Who would be a good opponent for Invincible? There's the obvious Gohan or Superboy that you could pair up with Invincible, which I think are okay but a little uninspired. I've also heard the Sam Alexander Nova as an opponent for Invincible, which I actually quite like. I think that's probably my favorite right now. But either way, I'm not too picky with this. I'd like to see Invincible get on the show, and regardless of who he fights, as long as he gets a good episode, I think I'll be okay with it. How are you doing, and what is your favorite activity? I'm doing well, thank you very much for asking, and as for my favorite activity, I would say right now it's playing games, whether it be video games or board games, just any kinds of games. I feel like that brings me the most fun nowadays. Of course, I like doing a lot of other things, like making YouTube videos and doing theater and hanging out with friends, you know, that kind of stuff, but I'd say games right now is my number one. What is your most memorable moment of 2021? I would probably say when my family and I went on vacation at the end of the summer, not just because we went on vacation, but because that was the first exciting thing, like the first really exciting thing that we had done since COVID hit. We didn't even go that far. We didn't leave the country, which is very rare for us when we go on vacations, but it was so exciting in comparison to the other stuff stuff we had done that year that it was just really fun. It was really great to get out of the house and just do whatever we wanted. So yeah, I would probably say that. If you could get two fictional universes to do an epic crossover, what would you choose? Right now, I would say Blade from Marvel and Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. These are two of my favorite vampire hunters of all time in all of fiction, and they've both been in really awesome comics before. Of course, Buffy had her TV show and Blade had his movies, but I think that a comic crossover that just goes really over the top would be epic. There are a lot of different crossovers I'd like to see if I was able to get my way all the time, but I think that one is the one that appeals to me the most. What are your favorite fast food restaurants? My number one is really basic. It's just McDonald's. I really like McDonald's. That's just my favorite one out of all the fast food restaurants. But a close second would probably be Harvey's. I'm not sure if you guys in the US have Harvey's. I'm not sure if it's a US and Canadian thing or just a Canadian thing because I live in Canada. But regardless, I do really like Harvey's. So McDonald's and Harvey's are my top two. Do you think Galactus versus Unicron will happen in season 9 of Death Battle? If I really had to guess, I would say no, because I think it would either make more sense for them to put it as the season 10 finale or for them to put it as episode 200, which would most likely fall in season 11. The only incentive I could see for them putting it in season 9 is that the season 9 finale is also going to be episode 175. However, it seems like they're not doing anything special for every 25 episodes anymore and only every 50 episodes. So yeah, my guess would still be no. What's a matchup that you're shocked it didn't happen in season 8 of Death Battle? Aside from Galactus versus Unicron, the only fight that I was really surprised to see not happen in season 8 was Alex Mercer versus Cole McGrath. Just because it's been talked about for so long before, I thought that for the anniversary season it just would have made the most sense, but it clearly didn't happen. Another one that I was kind of surprised to see it not happen was Samus versus Master Chief, just because it was really hotly anticipated. A lot of people were thinking it was going to happen again for the sake of this season, but it just didn't happen either. But yeah, other than that, there really were no other fights that I was really surprised to not see. All the ones that I thought were going to happen did happen, so yeah, I would just leave it at that. Sorry, was that important? No, don't worry. All you did was just destroy the one thing that could keep me alive across all of space-time. I'm sure I can walk it off. What is the future of your channel? The best way I could probably put this is just everything I've already been doing and more. So more Death Battle predictions, reactions, and discussions, hopefully a greater amount of who and why and bad battle if I can make all of that work, and just trying to connect with all of you guys more through other kinds of videos. There are some other things that I've been thinking about right now, but I have no concrete plans for any of that, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Would you consider doing something with the Discord voice chats if you wanted to make things more interactive? That is a good idea. I definitely think that we could get into that to some degree at some point. I don't have any concrete plans for anything like that, but yes, talking to people through Discord I think is a great way to make things more interactive, so I'll definitely keep that in my back pocket. Would you want to work with some moderators in the Discord to give a bit more to this channel? That's definitely another idea to consider. I think it would have to be a more structured kind of video, like a specific type of video that the moderators would help me do or work with me on, you know, that kind of thing. I have no idea what that would entail yet, but yeah, no, that's definitely something to keep in mind. Can you do a video where you make your own Death Battle season? This is what I was referring to at the beginning of the video. I am actually planning on making this video, but it's not just going to be my dream Death Battle season, it's going to be me mixed with other members of my Discord server. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, you know, more interactive content like that. So yeah, that is what I'm planning on doing, and hopefully it will be coming out in the near future. In all seriousness, how do you feel about the Raptorverse Discord? I actually got a similar question before in a previous Q&A, and that makes me wonder, do you guys think I don't like my Discord or that I shouldn't like it? I don't know. Regardless, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect server, and I don't expect it to ever be a perfect server, but there is a lot of good that came out of it, especially when it comes to the community and just me improving my own abilities as a content creator. So I am very, very happy that it exists regardless of the speed bumps. What matchups do you plan to make trailers for? Trailers are honestly the one thing that I do not have planned out at all because I don't plan on doing them very often. In terms of what matchups I might want to do trailers for, my biggest thought right now is Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon, just because I really like the matchup, but I'm not sure if I want to do that one next because that would mean that my first 3 trailers all involve Marvel characters, and I'm not sure if I would want to do that. But regardless, it will take some more thinking, but there are some matchups I do have in mind. How would you rank each season of Death Battle? I've actually thought about making this into a video before, and I've always decided against it because it is way too hard for me to rank all of these seasons. Each season has their very specific highs and very specific lows, which would make it extremely difficult for me to rank them all. But if I really had to choose a ranking right now, like if I was forced to, then I would say from top to bottom, Season 8, Season 5, Season 6, Season 2, Season 7, Season 4, Season 1, and Season 3. But they're all like really within range of each other, or at least a lot of them are within range of each other. And yeah, this ranking is going to change tomorrow because like I really have no idea how to rank the seasons. But if you really had to make me rank it, that's how I would do it. How do you feel about Beerus versus Galaxia being taken down from YouTube, and do you think it has a chance to eventually return? I feel really bummed by it, and honestly really annoyed by it too. I don't think it should have happened, but regardless, you know, it did, and there's not really much we can do about it. I think it has a bit of a chance to return. I wouldn't be surprised if it did return, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. Regardless though, we can still watch it on Rooster Teeth to my knowledge, so it's not the end of the world. Dr. Manhattan versus Lord Beerus. Dr. Manhattan exists on a dimensional plane of existence that is essentially too high up for most, if not all, Dragon Ball characters to reach. Beerus is still incredibly powerful, don't get me wrong, but just based on the way Dr. Manhattan is written, based on how high up he is on the hierarchy, there's just really no chance for Beerus to win that fight. Besides Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse, what other classic cartoon characters do you think would be good for Death Battle? I think other kinds of classic Disney and Looney Tunes characters would be good. I think characters like Tom and Jerry would also be pretty cool, but personally the classic cartoon characters, even though these guys are not nearly as old as, you know, Looney Tunes or classic Disney, but the characters that I most want to see are the Animaniacs. I really love the Animaniacs, and I think they would be really awesome to have on Death Battle. It would create a really unique dynamic, but that's just me. If you were to make a Death Battle spin-off series like Death Race, what would the concept be, and who would the characters be for the first episode? I think it would be kind of funny to see characters compete in like a crazy over-the-top triathlon. However, instead of regular sports, it would be like, how far can you kick this planet, or how fast can you eat this ridiculous amount of food, or something like that, you know, and it would change from episode to episode. And for the first episode, I was thinking maybe Superman and Thor. These are two ridiculously over-the-top, like really powerful characters, but they're competing in just a super powered friendly competition, you know? So yeah, that's probably what I would do. When you first started doing YouTube, was it about Death Battle right away, or was that the thing that just became the most popular? Versus debate content in general was just what took off for me, you know? I took a liking to it and tried it out on the channel in various ways, and it just got me to where I am now. You know, some things you can't plan, and it just happens the way it happens. When Joker versus Giorno happens, will you do a prediction for it? Yes, I will. If I was so worried about getting eaten alive by the community in the comments section, then there are so many predictions I already would not have made. Now, I know that this one is particularly crazy in terms of fanboys and, you know, toxicity and all of that, but yes, I will make it when Joker versus Giorno happens on Death Battle. Saint Walker versus Gore the God Butcher. This can probably really depend on what scaling you buy, but I think under most circumstances, Gore the God Butcher is probably more powerful. Saint Walker is still incredibly powerful, of course, being any kind of lantern, but still, I would probably say Gore the God Butcher if I had to choose. Do you have a specific Death Battle moment that you consider ignited your interest in the series? That's a really good question. I think the thing that really got me hooked on the series at first was Spider-Man killing Batman. That just really surprised me, but I thought it looked so cool, and it definitely got me hooked. You know, and of course that was the first episode of Death Battle that I ever saw. But when it comes to seeing the episode that made me think, okay, no, I'm definitely going to be watching this for a long time, I think that was Luigi versus Tails, and just the whole animation of it. Something about it just really felt cool to me, and yeah, ever since then I've just been watching every episode, and I've been enjoying it all the way through, so yeah, that's basically it. What is your favorite form of entertainment? I would probably have to say movies. There are a lot of different forms of entertainment that I really like video games and stage plays, you know, all that good stuff. But movies to me was what I latched onto when I was really young, and there was always something so magical about it. It's the thing that I'm just drawn towards to the most, you know? So yeah, I would probably just say movies. What did you think about Spider-Man No Way Home? Okay, so in a sense, it is kind of fan service, the movie, and there are some things that I would have changed about it if I could have, but in general, I really enjoyed the movie. It was so fun. It was basically everything I wanted it to be. No spoilers, of course, I'm not going to say anything, but to have so many of the old villain actors come back, you know, it was so great. You know, everything that I wanted was in there. I saw the movie again so quickly afterwards. You know, it was just such a fun experience. I am so happy that this movie exists because it's just amazing. I still can't believe half of the things I saw in the movie. So yeah, it's just amazing. What is your favorite game and movie from this year? My favorite movie is honestly probably Spider-Man No Way Home, although I did like a lot of other ones like The Suicide Squad, Free Guy, Tick Tick Boom, a lot of different movies. In terms of games, the only new game I got this year, I believe, was Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, so I'd probably say that one. It is also a lot of fun. Who's your favorite fictional character of all time? I have come to the conclusion that it is probably Spider-Man, and I felt this way before I saw No Way Home, by the way, so it's not because of No Way Home or anything like that, but I feel like deep down I have always connected the most with Spider-Man. I'm literally wearing a Spider-Man shirt right now, you know, but he is just one of the best written superheroes, one of the most relatable superheroes, at least to me, and a lot of my old-time viewers know that I really liked Nightcrawler and Beast Boy, and they were my two favorite superheroes, and I still love them for the nostalgia factor, you know, they're still really high up there, but I think if I have to be honest with myself, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero and my favorite fictional character of all time. Who would Spider-Ham fight in Death Battle? I've heard some people say the Bat Cow, I've heard some people say Bat-Mite, but I would personally go with Pig Iron, who is a character from DC's own anthropomorphic animal universe, just like how Spider-Ham is from Marvel's own. It's literally Peter Porker versus Peter Porkchops. If that doesn't sell it on its own, I don't know what would. What are your thoughts on the Phase 4 villains in the MCU? I think some of the Phase 4 villains have been really good, like Agatha, Wenwu, US Agent, some of the villains from Hawkeye and No Way Home. The other villains kind of range from meh to not really good, but that's kind of to be expected. You can't get them every time. If Batman and Iron Man built the Hellbat suit and the Godbuster armor together, how powerful would it be, and would it be the most powerful armor in all of fiction? Well, that might prove to be a bit of a challenge, considering that the Hellbat was made thanks to the entire Justice League and not just Batman, and it might be hard to combine the two considering that the Godbuster was made inside the Escape specifically, but if they could pull all of that off and combine the two armors, then it could probably reach heights past the point of Celestials, like far beyond Celestials and other similar characters. Would it be the most powerful armor in all of fiction? Maybe not, but it would definitely be really high up there, at least. What did you think of Venom Let There Be Carnage? I definitely found this one to be a better made film than the first one. I thought it was more unironically funny rather than ironically funny. If I was looking at it through the lens of a critical mindset, then yeah, I would see a ton of problems with it, but I still enjoyed it well enough. It was still an enjoyable experience for me, so that's good. How spoiled is Spoiled Champ? On a scale from 1 to 10, I'd say getting spoiled for No Way Home. Which reminds me, didn't you guys love the part when Moon Knight versus Talon? I think Moon Knight is probably better in terms of physical stats generally, and he has a lot of strong gear that you can give him, but Talon is probably the better hand-to-hand fighter, and he's kind of immortal, it's hard to explain, so I'm not sure if Moon Knight would actually be able to put down Talon, but he might be able to beat Talon in a standard fight under the right circumstances. It's hard to say. What is your favorite matchup banter-wise? There are a lot of matchups I like that I think have good banter potential, but for right now, I would say Gru versus Megamind. They just have so similar yet so different personalities, and I think seeing them clash like while they're fighting would just be so fun, you know, based on the tropes of their characters and what they say. I just think it would be a lot of fun. What is an alternate version of a character you would like to see in Death Battle someday? I might have said the Thomas Wayne version been getting so many Batman fights already, so I'll push him to the side and say that I really want to see Lord Draken and Omazeo, because I really want to see them fight each other, and they're both alternate versions of other characters, so I think it'd be really cool. Raphael versus the original Black Ranger. I think through general Power Ranger scaling, the Black Ranger is probably superior to Raphael in most areas, though of course I could be wrong, you know, there might be some specifics for both characters that I'm not aware of, but I would probably say the original Black Ranger for the win as of right now. Do you think Power Rangers should be used more on Death Battle? I wouldn't necessarily put it at the top of the priorities list because we've already seen more Power Rangers characters than some other series on Death Battle, but I still wouldn't mind seeing more matchups with Power Rangers characters in them, and there are some in particular that I really want to see, like Lord Draken versus Omazeo, as I mentioned before. What have you learned and gained from your sound editing and writing? I'd honestly say that I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about different kinds of softwares, I've learned a lot about the ins and outs of the procedures and the process processes, for making media products. And I've also just improved on my creativity and all that stuff. So yeah, I'd say that in general, I've just become a better worker, a better media producer, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely satisfied with what I've been doing. Which software do you use to make your thumbnails? Right now, I use Photoshop to make my thumbnails. Of course, Photoshop is kind of expensive. The only reason why I actually have it on my laptop is because of my university. They've actually given it to me for the time being, so that's really nice. But regardless, I know there are other options that you can use. A lot of them are probably a lot cheaper than Photoshop. But yeah, just for me personally, right now, that is what I use. What editing softwares do you recommend for new people? If you're just starting out, I'd probably recommend going with iMovie. It's really simple, really easy to use. I'm sure you'll be fine with it. There are also other options that may or may not be more or less expensive. I'm not really sure. Like there's KineMaster and Filmora, a lot of different names. Of course, there's also the big leagues like Premiere Pro and After Effects. But yeah, that is what I would recommend if you're just starting out. Are there any episodes you still like even though you disagree with the results, and vice versa? There are definitely episodes that play on both sides. For example, Hulk versus Broly, if we're looking at these characters at their maximum potentials and just starting them off like that, then yeah, I probably don't agree with the results. But even still, I really enjoyed the episode. It was a lot of fun, it was really well made, it was just a banger of an episode. However, there are episodes on the other side of the spectrum, like Black Canary versus Sindel, probably still my least favorite episode of season 7, but I agree with the results. It's just as simple as that. What's your favorite Harry Potter matchup? It would have to be Gandalf versus Dumbledore. I know that it might not be the closest fight in the world, but it is the quintessential fantasy fight. The two old mentors. It just makes sense. I don't know how they haven't done it yet. It's just a really good fight. I really want to see it. Have you worn wigs?
No, I have not.
Will you wear wigs?
Maybe.
When will you wear wigs? Are you familiar with Beyblade? Have I heard of it? Yes. Have I watched it or played it or done anything with it? No. But it does seem like a lot of fun. Are you gonna play Sly 5 once it comes out? Honestly, it depends. I'm busy playing a number of other games right now, and I haven't played any of the other Sly games, but I like trying new things every now and then, so who knows? We'll see. Sonic versus Naruto. If we're including everything that these characters have, then I would say Sonic, because his super forms are just gonna be too much for Naruto. I think Naruto has the best chance of beating Sonic if Sonic stays in his base form, but regardless, if we give him everything that we should be giving them, then yeah, Sonic definitely wins. Who would Deku fight in Death Battle? Deku would probably fight Gon from Hunter x Hunter. I know Deku has a number of different opponents, and some of them might work better for him than Gon, but just talking about what's most likely, I think he will probably end up fighting Gon, but that's just me. How likely do you think SCP Foundation making it into Death Battle is? Well, it's definitely not guaranteed, and I wouldn't say it's the most likely because it kind of goes against what Death Battle is known for doing. They would definitely be trying something really new if they were bringing in SCP Foundation characters, but I wouldn't rule it out either. Death Battle does try to do other things. They like to experiment sometimes. I personally really like to see it. I don't know if it will happen, but I wouldn't rule it out. King DDD versus Triple H. It depends on if you prefer H's or D's. Okay, no, that sounded wrong. Did you know that Waddle Doo from Kirby versus Cinder from Ruby has connections? Honestly, I can't really confirm or deny. I don't know that much about these characters, but if you say so, then sure. Very cool. If all of the Ruby girls return to Death Battle, who do you think they would fight? Assuming that this is after Ruby versus Maka, I can't really think of any great matchups for any of them except for maybe Yang, in which case she'd probably end up fighting Bakugo. And this might not be the answer you're looking for, but I honestly think it's more likely for them all to come back together, whether it be in like a battle royale between all of Team Ruby or a team fight like Team Ruby versus the TMNT or something like that. I'm not really sure, but yeah, those are my thoughts on that. What do you think of the many constantly changing general consensus in the Versus community? It is kind of annoying, to be honest, because I think we can all agree that it would be better to have some level of consistency throughout all of this, but even still, it is really inevitable because new material comes out for a lot of different characters, and some simple perspectives just change over time. So yeah, it's stressful, but I think it just more so shows that there will never be a definitive answer to really any Versus debate. And to be honest, I think there are still some people that don't really understand that. Esdeath versus Boa Hancock. I want to say maybe Boa, just because I feel like she'd probably be a lot faster than Esdeath, and she might even have the potential to one-shot Esdeath, but I know that Esdeath also has a lot of advantages in her own right, so maybe that would be able to overcome Boa's advantages. I'm not 100% sure. If I really had to pick, I would say say Boa, but I could be completely wrong. What are your thoughts on Spawn versus Doomslayer as a matchup? In a vacuum, I think it's alright as a matchup. I don't have any problems with it, but I'm not too partial to it showing up on Death Battle just because I'd like to see other episodes involving those characters more. But that's just my opinion. In a vacuum, I still think that matchup is okay. If Lynxie was gonna be in a Death Battle or a who, when, and why, who do you think she would fight? I haven't heard a lot of opponents for Lynxie at this point in time. The one that I've heard most prominently though is Kogenta, so I'd probably say her. But even then, you know, I know things have the potential to change. That's just for right now, and there might be more opponents that get suggested later. I'm not really sure. But yeah, right now I'd say Kogenta. What series do you think could cross over with Strike Witches? Right now I would probably say Skullgirls. To be honest, I don't know that much about either franchise, but they do seem tonally consistent with each other, at least relatively speaking, and I think it could be a lot of fun. I'm sure there are a lot of different potential options out there, but right now I would say Skullgirls. What is your favorite Santa in media? I have a soft spot for the Santa that was portrayed in Elf by Ed Asner, rest in peace by the way. I just thought he was an amazing Santa. I thought it was very accurate to what I think of as Santa, and I just love that movie, so I'm kind of obligated to like the Santa. But if we're talking about my favorite reimagining of a Santa, then I would probably say the Santa from Rise of the Guardians. Rise of the Guardians is actually one of my favorite DreamWorks movies, and I think that the Santa that they did was still very true to the Santa that we know, but also very different in so many cool and unique ways. I just think he's a really fun character. I'm really happy with what they did with him. And everyone, that brings us to the end of the final Q&A. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and also all of the Q&As that I've done on this channel. I really do appreciate it. It means so much to me. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, comment your comments down below, subscribe if you could too, that would be amazing. And once again, thank you all so much for 4,000 subscribers. I literally could not have done it without you. It's just the best feeling in the world. So yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.